treating his Bucs team like they're Super Bowl bound, and they were kind of a hot mess yesterday. Now the Saints get healthy, and they're looking like what we originally thought they were on a 5-game win streak. So tell me this. How much of the blame is on Brady for this loss?
A lot of the blame, just like a lot of the credit was given to Brady when especially he showed the kind of leadership he did after they had the disastrous game in Chicago, where a lot of the blame was heaped upon him, right? His offensive line was messing up. He chastises them like very publicly, and then he makes a mental error. Well, you knew the kind of leader Tom Brady is. One thing they're not going to make a lot of the next week are mental errors. And in fact, they didn't. They went out. They played their best game of the season. They whooped up on the Packers. So back then, the defense of the Bucs was getting a lot of credit, as they deserve, and Tom Brady was getting a lot of credit, as he deserved. And now comes the time where you give them blame after a bad loss. They are the defense, yes, you want to talk about the fact they gave up all those points, fine, although when your quarterback's constantly turning the ball over, makes it harder on the defense, but okay. But also the quarterback, who did turn the ball over a whole bunch, who made curious decisions. You want to talk about Antonio Brown being on the field and maybe the rhythm not being right yet? Who was the one who really got Antonio Brown to Tampa? You think it was Bruce Arians who said that he didn't want Antonio Brown there like a minute ago and now all of a sudden he changed his mind? Or do you think it's Tom Brady? Tom Brady, look, the Bucs are having a good season, and Tom Brady deserves a lot of credit for that, and he's been given a lot of credit for that. But when they lose like this, he also deserves a lot of blame. You are playing your now divisional rival, the other best team in the division. You've already lost one to them. You're about to get swept for the season against them if you lose this game. Remember, Molly, Stephen A., how when we were talking about who's the pressure on in this game and you guys said Tom Brady, I was like, because everyone's going to come loaded with their Tom Brady excuses if they lose. He just got a B, whatever it is. You'll have your Tom Brady excuses. Well, here they come. Here come the excuses. Just like he had credit, and he deserved credit, for showing leadership when they lost and turned it around, he deserves blame when they lose like this to their divisional rival, especially when you see the way Drew Brees has played. And by the way, kicking a field goal down 1,000,000 points so you don't get shut out, Bush League.
Well, first of all, thank you for highlighting and you really illuminating the fact that you don't listen to people, because the fact of the matter is anybody that watched that game last night ain't making any excuses about Tom Brady. He looked like straight garbage. I don't know who you're talking about is going to make excuses for Tom Brady after they got blown out in the fashion that they got blown out. He looked god awful. Now, if you want to make sure, if you want to point to folks pointing out how others messed up, as a means to offset what Tom Brady has done or what have you, and you want to use that as an excuse, then I guess you'll have a point here, because I'm looking at Bruce Arians and I'm looking at Todd Bowles and the coaching staff, and I'm looking at Byron Leftwich as well. How the hell do you run the football 5 times? How the hell does Leonard Fournette, of all people, have 1 rush but 6 catches? How does that happen? How do you sit up there and rush the football 5 times when you've got a 43-year-old quarterback? You're asking to drop back and throw the ball 30-plus times against a Saints defense that is a quality defense, by the way, that basically pulled their ears back and said, all right, this is how you're going to try to disrespect us? We're coming for you. And speaking of the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, let's be very, very clear here. You look at a couple of things. I wrote this down. You got Devin White. You got Levante Davis. Of the 13 times they were targeted against as Tampa's linebackers, they allowed 12 catches on 13 targets. That's horrendous. When you look at the cornerbacks, the young dudes, Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis, they're young quarterbacks. They guess a lot. They take chances and what have you. Them and that entire secondary. And you simply can't do that against a Drew Brees. So you've got to point to that, and the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were immediately in a hole. Now, Tom Brady didn't help. Here's where I'm going to blame Tom Brady most of all. His first 2 interceptions, he targeted Antonio Brown, who just got there. Evidently, you thought that being in New England with him for 1 game was enough for you guys to have chemistry where you could sit up there and anticipate, and he can anticipate accurately what you wanted to do at the quarterback spot as well, even though he hadn't even had a full week of practice as far as I'm concerned. I think that was a huge mistake. So if I'm Tom Brady, I've got a conversation with Giselle, and I'm like, yo, Antonio Brown needs to move out the house. He needs to move out the house. He don't need to be up in here, okay? It's bad karma, all right? We got to make sure that we get our ducks in a row, that we get things all right. I want to hear about Antonio Brown cooking cookies for the children in the Brady family. I don't want to hear about the relationship and how they've got this rapport with one another. We haven't seen evidence of that as of yet. He only played one game in New England, and last night, 3 receptions for 31 yards. It's clearly going to be considerably better than that moving forward. But nevertheless, I'm just looking at all of that. I'm like, my goodness. My goodness.
Because we got a guest here with us, Dan Orlovsky. You can respond, and then we'll get Dan involved
here.
I'm
just going to say, of course they're not running the ball a lot. You blink, they're down 5 scores in the first half. How much are you going to be running the ball?
Max, you should have ran the ball more than 5 in the first half.
I understand, but you're playing from behind. You will run
the ball less. And by the way, behind, run the
we've had Leonard Fournette here as a guest on this show. Leonard Fournette is not whether he's a starting caliber running back is debatable. There was a reason he was available in the offseason. But hold on a second. You just got through saying, hey, you're not listening. No one's going to make excuses for Tom Brady. He looked awful, and then blame the coaching staff. This is what I mean. If you want to say AB just got there, who brought AB in? Tom Brady.
I said them and him.
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Last night's loss is on the coaching staff. Go to the first play of the game.
There you go.
The first play of the game, they put their rookie right tackle, Tristan Wirfs, one-on-one pass protecting against Cam Jordan. You don't do that. Let a young player get his kind of settled into a game. Their first third down of the game, they throw a stick route, meaning go 3 yards up and break away to Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski has not been good at that route in 5 years. It's just not what he does right now. Keep his body moving. Don't ask him to break his feet down. That was your first third down plan of the game. And then the very next drive, the first down, you take a shot. You're down 7-0. You take a shot downfield. What happened to spreading the defense out, getting the ball out of Tom Brady's hands, the quick passing game, getting in this condensed formations, and running the football? I don't care if it's 14-0. I've seen good coaching staffs fall down 14-0 this year plenty of times, and they continue to trust and stay in their plan. No, Tom didn't play well. No one's going to go on television and say that Tom played well. Look at their defensive plan. This defense in Tampa Bay excels at a lot of things, but one of them is playing man coverage. Last night in the first half, when that game got out of hand, they ran 16 snaps of zone coverage. 16. You know who's the best zone coverage quarterback in the NFL? Drew Brees, because he can move defenders with his eyes. Why would you line up and play so much zone? Play man coverage. Disrupt the receivers. Get after Drew Brees. I can tell you this game was over. Actually, I have a text saying this game was over the third play of the game. Tom Brady was on the ground twice. Drew Brees looked like he was having a picnic in his back, in the pocket. So, the players did not play well, but this is a coaching staff not having a very good feel of what they wanted to do in this game. The Saints did, and the Bucs didn't. And that's the major reason why they lost this game and the way they lost it.
They deserve some blame. You can blame the defense. They gave up a lot of points. These are all fair points to make. And you can also blame Tom Brady, who played poorly.
Sure.
If you are given credit for showing leadership, which I was very clear on this show, he deserved. After he made the mental error against Chicago and embarrassed himself after chewing out his offensive line earlier in the game, right? You knew he was going to come back. A Tom Brady-led team was not going to be sloppy mentally the next game, and they weren't. He gets credit for that. When you play your division, and this is going to be the main competition in the division, and you turn the ball over 3 times, that is just like you get credit for the wins, maybe out of proportion, you are going to get blamed for the losses. And when we talked about pressure, Dan, we're not here yet. I will say it again. One of the reasons I thought the pressure wasn't that much on Tom Brady coming in is because people have excuses loaded for him in the event of failure. And sure enough, today, that's what I see.
No, honestly, I'm not an excuse maker. I try to say other than this person stunk or this person was great. I try to tell you why things happen. The 3 turnovers, you can point to him. Max, he threw a turnover on a screen pass that got tipped by a defensive lineman. Those are BBBs. Bad